how do you really know what's happening inside a country's parliament? I mean, beyond the big headlines. Today, we're going to crack open an official report from Sri Lanka's parliamentary opposition to see exactly how they're challenging the government and, fighting for the public.
Okay, so let's dive right in. What you're looking at here is the Opposition Bulletin. You can think of it as a kind of weekly report card where the opposition lays out its work. It's basically our window into the biggest battles happening on the parliamentary floor, from massive economic policies right down to the rights of a single individual.
So the first thing that just jumps out at you is the economy. The bulletin makes it super clear this isn't about some abstract theory. The opposition is sounding the alarm on stuff that directly impacts the country's finances and, more importantly, what's in people's wallets.
And wow, a really powerful accusation was made in Parliament, and it's highlighted right here. See, the opposition called out a government plan to buy coal using an emergency tender. Their point? Calling it an emergency lets them sidestep all the normal, transparent procedures, which kind of opens the door for corruption, especially, they argue, when they had almost a whole year to plan it properly.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about yelling in Parliament. To back up what they were saying about that coal deal, you see opposition members right here, on the ground, doing their own investigation at the power plant. They're literally gathering their own facts to hold the government accountable.
And here is where all these high-level debates really hit home. A major concern was raised because the interest rate for senior citizen savings was basically slashed from 15% all the way down to 7%. I mean, that is a massive cut that directly impacts the financial security of the nation's elderly.
And their focus on the economy is incredibly broad. I mean, in just this one report, they're tackling a potential telecom monopoly, they're fighting for loan relief for small businesses, they're questioning the burden of IMF conditions on everyday people, and they're standing up for exporters getting hammered by tariffs.
So where do we go from here? Well, it's not just about dollars and cents. The opposition is also heavily focused on the rules, the ethics, how the country is actually run. This next bit is all about the integrity of their institutions.
And here we go. A huge point of conflict that's laid out in the bulletin involves some really serious allegations aimed directly at the Speaker of Parliament. We're talking about the country's third highest office here, so the stakes for public trust are absolutely enormous.
So the bottom line here is this. The opposition is arguing that these are not minor issues. With formal complaints now filed and a pretty historic conflict with parliamentary staff, they're demanding that the Speaker step aside. Why? So an independent investigation can happen to preserve the integrity of Parliament itself.
Okay, quick sidebar. To really get this next point, we need to know what this ordinance is. It's a really powerful legal tool that lets the government declare a state of emergency, which gives it significant extra powers.
Right, so the bulletin shows that the opposition voted a hard no on extending these emergency powers. Their argument was pretty simple. Sure, they were useful during the recent cyclone, but that's over now. They were worried that continuing the state of emergency wasn't about public safety anymore, but maybe about suppressing public protest. I love this next part, because this is where you see the parliamentary work connecting directly with communities. It's about members of parliament basically acting as a megaphone for local problems that need national attention and resources to get fixed.
So the opposition brought this number to the floor of parliament. 40,000. But what in the world does a number like that actually represent?
It represents a major crisis in the country's education system. You've got 40,000 empty teaching positions, while at the same time 17,000 experienced but temporary teacher development officers are fighting for stable jobs. So the opposition is pushing for what seems like a common-sense solution. Just absorb these experienced officers to fill those critical vacancies.
And honestly, the list just keeps on going. This single report shows MPs fighting for everything from reopening a crucial road for a local economy to voicing citizen fears about a new housing bill, all the way to demanding justice for political prisoners and the victims of forced disappearances.
And, a huge part of the job is just getting into the weeds of new laws. Here, they're scrutinizing a proposed act for container depot operators, and they're trying to make sure it's fair, that it promotes competition, and that it doesn't accidentally hurt a really vital industry.
So, after looking through all these different debates and questions and actions, what does it all really add up to? What is the fundamental role the opposition is playing here? What's the big picture?
Well, when you boil it all down, you see these four core functions playing out over and over again. They question what the government is doing, they investigate potential wrongdoing, they represent public concerns, And they scrutinize new laws. It's that constant, necessary work of being a watchdog.
This quick look inside the Opposition Bulletin really shows a system at work. It's a snapshot of that relentless questioning, debate, and oversight that's supposed to happen. And it leaves us with a final thought. In any healthy democracy, maybe the most important job of all is just to never, ever stop asking the hard questions.